Hi, I'm Catherine Owen, geography teacher and 2025 to 26 president of the Geographical Association. You're listening to the Coffee and Geography podcast. Grab yourself a brew and enjoy the listen.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Coffee and Geography podcast. Another on location episode for you this week. I'm absolutely delighted to be here at the Geographical Association conference for 2025. Oxford Brookes University is our venue this time. Bit of a change in venue. Usually we're at places like Sheffield Hallam or Guildford, University of Surrey in Guildford, or Manchester, University of Manchester. They're usually that we rotate around those, but we're in a new place today. It's absolutely delighted. So, as part of the ClimateAmbassadors scheme special season of the Coffee and Geography podcast, so unlike in previous episodes where I've been at the GA conference, where I've given more of an overview and I've spoken to individuals. This one I'm going to be focusing on things specific to climate action and the Climate Ambassador scheme and the sister projects. But so if you are hoping for your GA conference fix this year through the Coffee and Geography podcast, I'll try and give you some element of that, but you've got your two previous years that I've done on location, and of course it's the first time that I'm taking some video to the GA conference as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you come with me and enjoy the absolute wonder that is the Geographical Association's conference.
Most recent consumer one. You get some really, it's a mixed economy. Some of them will be made with that. To the right in your right hand.
Okay.
You point the clicker at the play button. I'm going to press play.
So play, right. I'm going to talk. Right. So I am having a virtual reality thing where I'm pressing play. It's called Ecosphere Journeys, Episode 5, Swim with Mantas. Okay, so I can look around. Ooh. So I've been told it's not 360. I can't see behind me, but it is 180 though. Okay, I feel like I'm flying. This is crazy. Did I mention I suffer from vertigo? There should have been a trigger warning with this.
Lies off the coast of West Papua.
I'm now getting a lovely narration. It's kind of like an immersive version of Planet Earth.
The coral reefs
just without
in these
David
shallow
Attenborough.
waters are home to the most vibrant and biodiverse marine ecosystem on the planet. Billions of creatures, from tiny plankton
This is so counterintuitive. I feel like I'll need to hold my breath.
To these gentle giants. Manta rays.
Oh, this is cool. There's a manta ray. I'm actually more interested in that rock down
Unique
there.
currents and a consistent warm climate create an ideal environment for the mantas.
The department has a responsibility, not alone, everyone has a responsibility to... The Centre for Climate Change and Sustainability Education at UCL is providing a series of resources for teachers, and one of the things that we're looking at is this notion of powerful resources, and that is encouraging teachers and schools to use a resource that they might put, for example, in the foyer of a school, that everyone might pass during the course of the day, and then becomes a talking point in lessons. It's something that a department might take up formally and do lessons on, or alternatively it's something that might be picked up informally by a teacher at the end of a lesson, or even informally in the corridor talking to a pupil. So it's really a tool to create communication about climate change using one resource that reaches across all the discipline areas in a school. The question is, how do we roll out climate change education throughout various different departments? There can be often impediments to that happening, teachers feeling ill-equipped to deliver climate change information in their disciplines, when in fact what we do find is in fact teachers know a lot more about what's happening in terms of climate change than they give themselves credit for. The approach that we've looked at here is called powerful resources, with a view to creating a resource that can be stationed, positioned in a school. I mean, it may be a physical thing. The example that we used in the session was a slice of a tree that had been cut out and showed the rings and the age of the tree, and then I, as an exemplar, showed how that could be used in different subjects. So mathematically, students looked at the distances between the rings, tried to map that with climate differences, and got good at transliterating the physical world into a mathematical, graphical world. Another approach was to look at that same resource, a powerful resource, in terms of art, and the approach was to show students an example of some conceptual artwork that demonstrated the growth of trees and got them to think about how they could create a conceptual artwork that connected the tree with climate change. And one of the exemplars I showed was a pupil who had created this tree with a tunnel, a glass tunnel, so that you could see the roots and how they were developing in times of drought and in times of flood and so on, with a view to creating an artwork that communicated that information, so speaking for the trees. And so we looked at various different approaches or different subject approaches to the same powerful resource. And a powerful resource could be anything. It could be an object like that slice of tree, it could be a photograph, it could be a graph, it could be a movie, it could be a film that's shown to the entire school. And the idea is to promote conversation from each department to think about that resource in terms of climate change. And also to create a dialogue between departments. And it doesn't have to be something that's particularly onerous. We know that teachers are time-starved and busy and worry about how they're going to fit yet something else into their day-to-day teaching. But in fact, it could be formalised, but it may also be delivered in those 15 minutes or 10 minutes at the end of the lesson when you finish doing your work and you're thinking, what will I do now? And you can talk about the resource. It might be prompted by a pupil who says, the piece of tree in the foyer, what would we think about that mathematically? So it could be a two-way thing. The whole idea is to develop a dialogue and a movement of ideas and communication between departments and addressing climate change in a multitude of ways as it needs to be addressed, because it's a multi-perspectival problem that we need to address from every discipline.
We were looking at something that did happen at my college. The art department or the textiles department took over and got people from the local community to knit pieces of coral, and they had a massive coral display, and then all the art department made the walls like the ocean, and so it was kind of a community art display involving our local Action for Climate Change group, and I think primary schools, everyone, lots of people got involved, and I think what's nice is our art teacher leads the climate change stuff, so it was kind of not hard for me to think of an idea because that's she's really into it.
One thing I will say as well is we're very lucky to have UCL as one of the consortium partners for the Climate Ambassador scheme. So if listeners to the podcast don't know, UCL is the London hub for the Climate Ambassador scheme. So we're very, very lucky to have yourself going through the scheme now. We've also got people like David Lambert and my Climate Ambassador Regional Hub Manager, colleague Lachlan, who's amazing. So such a great team and such great work that you folks are doing at UCL. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's great work, and I'm pleased to be part of it.
So I am here with Susie, who's an intern at the Environment Agency. So Susie, tell me a little bit about what this amazing thing, because I'm a Minecraft geek.
Yeah.
So what have I got in front of me? What are you showing people here at the conference? Because it's all about climate education and adaptation and resilience, and through Minecraft.
Yeah, I can't believe I get to say this.
This is
for
great.
work. So, a little bit of context. So I'm an industrial placement with the Environment Agency, and I've just met some lovely people so far in my experience that have got me involved and got me here at the conference. So what you've got in front of you is Minecraft education, so a little like subset of Minecraft, especially for educational purposes, for children, for schools, and at the Environment Agency, we just went, what's the fun way to educate kids? And this is it. So this is Rivercraft 2. So we've done a Rivercraft 4, and this is Rivercraft 2. So the sequel.
The sequel. Okay.
Maybe better. I don't know. I haven't played the first Rivercraft. And you've got 3 games, and you're currently on the first game, on the second task, I believe, with the landscape guy.
Right. So apparently someone had a go at this before me, and now I'm trying to speak to the ecologist, but the ecologist is saying something. So like a task has already been done.
Yeah. So just for the conference, we're getting people to do all the mini tasks, and someone's come in before you, and they looked after a dam, I believe. So a dam was blocked up by some annoying beavers, and they just poked some holes in the dam to help the river flow through a little bit more. But you've got the landscape guy.
So I'm going to So the ecologist task is done. There's a beautiful Minecraft map there of the river.
Yeah. So we got an external company to map it, and they were brilliant. They're the creative minds behind creating the land.
Designer. Right. So, okay. So this is what it says. Landscape designer says, "Hi, I'm a landscape designer, which means I design outdoor areas. I need your help to redig some ponds that have become filled with dirt." That's funny, because my kids' primary school are thinking about redoing their pond as part of their climate action plan.
Brilliant.
So ponds are important because holding back the water in the upper catchment is a nature-based solution that slows down the flow of water and reduces the risk of flooding downstream. So I have to follow the pink trail. So, and the landscape. The Minecraft folks don't have agendas, so let's call it the day. We'll meet them down. We'll meet them down at there. So I've got to follow the pink path.
They're quite small, and they kind of disappear off. And this one's a little bit tricky in the sense that they do kind of send you all over the place to dig these holes. So you should have a pickaxe or a shovel or something at the bottom. Now maybe potentially.
So I'm following the pink path. Let's run. See, this is sad that I know all the controls, folks.
No, it's good to be honest. It saves the time.
So okay,
this one's quite a long task.
But we're having a good little display of the landscape around here. So we've got these buildings on the left, and we've got the river there, and we've got some crops on the other side of the river.
And you might start to see the path kind of diverge a little bit and go off in different directions. I think, spoiler alert, there are about 4.
It's really I'm now leaving the village.
Yeah.
It's really taken me on a bit of a tour now. I seem to have lost the pink path. What's happening there? I'm now going off into the grass.
You've got to find it. And the ecologist should appear, so you might need to talk to him again, I believe.
There's the landscape designer.
No, not landscape. Keep on saying ecologist.
So I've reached a bit here, which looks like it's a bit of dirt. A construction area pond, and the landscape designer says there are 4 ponds to dig in total, and it's important for you to get them all. Farmers and landowners can help by creating ponds into which water naturally flows and collects. They can store water during drought conditions when water is scarce. This stored water can be used to irrigate crops or for animal drinking water. Right.
That's, giving a little bit of the educational content to the kids, whether they read it or not, is a different debate altogether. So, just a little bit of nugget of information along with the fun of digging a hole in Minecraft.
So what I've got now, I've got one of the pickaxe is the famous Minecraft tool, and like people will know of like netherite swords and stuff like that. But what I've been given by the landscape designer, I've been given a shovel, and what I'm guessing is that my job is to excavate this.
So you dig a hole, and it's been really clever. The people who designed the world, they made sure you can't not dig the shape. So if you try on one of the grass blocks, you can't dig that because they basically locked it to the specific hole and pond you need to dig. So really clever block builders. We're a great team.
So there you go, folks. I'm trying to dig that grass block there, but it's not letting me. But it's letting me dig. So I've dug out the pond now.
So you've done 1 out of 4.
1 out of 4. So
we might need to speed this up and post edit.
Well, there we go. So I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, I can definitely see my kids who are Minecraft nuts,
play Minecraft,
who would love to this. So for the folks folks who are listening then, Susie, so how can folks get hold of this then?
Well, it's just Googling Minecraft education, and if you've got a Microsoft 365 account, you're absolutely sorted. So pretty straightforward, simple, and they've got a whole dedicated website. Microsoft and the team have got Minecraft education, and you should find it there. Just search Rivercraft 2, Google it, and you'll be sorted.
That's amazing. So, some schools will use like Google Education, stuff like that, but some schools use Microsoft Office and things like that. So if you've got an Office 365 account, you should be able to get on that. Well, yeah, that's good. I can use my University of East Anglia Microsoft account to get on that.
Perfect. I would as well, yeah.
Wow, thank you very much for showing that for us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great fun, isn't it? And it might as well gamified learning and all that.
Love it. Absolutely. We're currently setting up now the session on how to use GIS for connective geographies. So I've got the wonderful crew here from the GA ICT SIG, or Special Interest Group. And I just want to welcome our live audience here for this session for the Coffee and Geography podcast. Honestly, there's more people in the chair would suggest. And the way that this process works is that there are 5-minute pretty rapid fire kind of mini thing. It's almost like a Teachmeet, I'd say. It's almost like my colleagues are nodding just in front of me. So it's almost like a mini Teachmeet where it's a very, very quick dash of good practice and things that occur for teachers, not just geography teachers and not just teachers in the United Kingdom, but teachers anywhere can utilise for incorporating the geographical information systems within their schools and their teaching and learning. I'm going to go one more than you, I'm afraid, Bob. So what Bob said was great, but it can be even better. Because there is actually a national scheme funded by the DfE to allow you to do exactly what Bob said, which is brilliant, you should be doing this, but actually contributes towards the national effort in terms of climate action. So you knew this, didn't you? You knew that, all of you, if you're based in England, you have to have a climate action plan and a name sustainability. You knew that, didn't you? Yeah? Right, so the good news is that with the DfE, there's 4 support things which come at no cost at all for your school. Let's Go Zero was brought into this partnership. They existed beforehand. But there's 3 DfE funded schemes of ClimateAmbassadors, which I'll talk more about tomorrow at 11:30. You've got Sustainable Sport for Education, which is a self-service thing. But we're going to now look at the other sister project, National Education Nature Park. So it is amazing. While I'm getting ready with this, come on, tell me which city in England does all of the educational estates add up to twice the amount of? Yes, at the back.
Birmingham.
Birmingham. Let me guess, that was Katie Hall, wasn't it? Yeah, brilliant. Right, so so Katie is actually one of the people at Israel who works on this with these folks. And so I'll very, very quickly, because no time is short, is that it is amazing, right? So what the whole premise of the National Education Nature Park is a collaborative climate effort. It's a shame this ain't working, Kate, you sort this out. So I'll just go back to the presentation. But what it is every single one of these green dots is a school that has mapped their school grounds, and some of them have done something called habitat mapping, now, which is where they actually go around the school grounds and they kind of mark where the trees are, but where other natural features are, whether they put them on as a school themselves, maybe a wildlife pond or stuff like that. And if you zoom in, what happens is that if they've habitat mapped their school grounds, a bit like what Bob was just showing, then this changes according to different proportions of the types of things. Kate, shout them out, give us an example of the categories.
Different things you can map.
Yep. You're in the room, I'm going to pick on you.
Line of trees,
Line of trees.
box, habitat.
Oh, David, thanks, David. Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so I've also killed the remote. So the other thing is the resource bank. It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. So this resource bank can take you to a filterable tool where you can look at what stage of this process you can be on, the key stage you're working with, all the way down to nursery and further and early years, and up to key stage 5. Here's 4 examples that work with GIS specifically, so go check those ones out. Now, this one doesn't. But I love what Kate does every single year is the kind of like low-tech paper-based stuff which introduces the concepts of GIS, right? So it gets kids familiar with layers and stuff. That is fantastic. So if you want to get kids interested into that kind of stuff. My favourite is and Katie's favourite is the Hidden Nature Challenge, suitable for all age groups. Challenge for you is, is it Dave who does that? All right, so please give Dave more work by having a go at the Hidden Nature Challenge. Just search for it, take it, you do it on your phone with Survey 123, and it goes on a beautiful map showing these kind of like categories that you can do, and it's great, particularly for the very youngsters. So it's incredible, and the most important thing I think, well, as for those of you who know me, is it directly links with your school's efforts to your climate action plan, directly, because these are one of the sister projects to help with that DfE climate change and sustainable education strategy. If you want to access the people who run this, the RHS, so ClimateAmbassadors regional hub managers like myself, we work in very close partnership with these folks. In fact, we're pretty good friends with each other in the east of England, so if you were to contact me, I will put you in touch with them if you need to. But if you're not having a look at least the resource part of this, you should be doing that at bare minimum. Even better if, buzzword, even better if you go and do the habitat mapping and the school mapping. If your school is not on that map now, you need to get it on that map. Okay, so there you go, National Education Nature Park. Now, Teachmeets are always great. They're quick fire, they're short, they're snappy, they're right to the point, and they're very, very well attended. And the one at the Geographical Association conference yearly is no exception. It's very well attended, superbly hosted, with great hospitality by Discover the World. And usually do a bit of poetry, but I did have to talk shop about the Climate Ambassador scheme on this occasion.
Young hearts filled with dread, lessons fail to spark their hope, clouds, storms, futures bleak. That's how I feel about the climate change and sustainability strategy from the DfE. And I know that some of you feel that way as well. I'm going to leave it there, everyone is shorter than me. So now I know a lot of you know that it is a requirement from the DfE, not statutory, but I am preaching to the converted that you know that it's a requirement for the DfE that every school in England has to have a climate action plan and a sustainability lead. It was by 2025, but they're the DfE and they're civil servants. They're giving you a bit of slack. The good news is that there is support out there for you, and there's been a lot of talk about green careers. And one of the jobs that I now do as a Climate Ambassador Regional Hub Manager is to support that. Now, a climate action plan, I want you all to promise me, are any of you the sustainability lead of your school? Oh, what are you doing? Paul, for God's sake. No, I know that. That's why I didn't want you to take it. And I really hope they haven't given it to you, Paul, because it's siloed to geography. Yes, see? Right, okay. So if you come to my talk tomorrow at 11:30, I'm going to tell you how not to become the sustainability lead, but still have influence over it. You've missed the trick. But seriously, you can have massive influence on your school's climate action plan with the DfE strategy. You can request a climate ambassador. Again, thank you, Karen. You know, the instructions of how to do that will be available to you after that, so don't bother keep scanning that QR code. Let me give you an example, though. This is the wonderful Louise Wilson from the Environment Agency. She's one of my East of England climate ambassadors. And so I got back into the classroom. Yay. Year 10 class, Year 10 GCSE class at Breckland School in just outside of Thetford Forest. And so what we did, I got to teach. Now, I know I've heard it, but we got to teach the curriculum kit. Listen. So this was a lesson about the 6 stages of inquiry. So it had to be done. It was part of the syllabus. It was preparation for their fieldwork. We got it done. The first 30 to 40 minutes of the lesson, we did it. We did what are the 6 stages of inquiry? We did some activities. We did that. Then Louise dialed in and she talked about the work she does with the Environment Agency that relates to the 6 stages of the geographical inquiry, of fieldwork inquiry, through her work in the Environment Agency in hydrotelemetry. Yes, I got it first time. And that then links also to your Gatsby benchmarks, because you've got curriculum, linking your curriculum to careers, you've got engagements with employers and employees, and you've got, in some instances, if you're working with higher education, you've got Gatsby Benchmark 7 as well. And it was brilliant. And then after that, they had a 10-minute Q&A about her job. You haven't lost any lesson time, okay? I used to use the same reason that we don't have curriculum time. You can build it into your curriculum time, okay? This climate action. Oh, look, kids promoting their podcast again. But this season, I am doing a Climate Ambassadors special. If you want to know about the work that they do and how they can inspire you in your classroom, do give that a listen. Young hearts filled with dread. Lessons fail to spark their hope. Storm clouds, futures bleak. Haikus are simple but powerful. Your actions are simple but powerful. Storm clouds with dread fail. Ambassadors spark young hearts. Futures of green hope. Thank you.
So we're Megawatt, we're a non-profit that raises energy literacy through play. So we do this through card games and engaging resources. So our main product is Megawatt card game, which challenges students to build an electricity grid. So they start off building energy resources, using different forms of energy to build their grid. They're then challenged by event cards. So this might be heat waves, floods, carbon tax, lots of different things that happen to affect what you've built. As the game goes on, you can invest in different strategies. So you can invest in things like carbon capture or concentrated solar or offshore wind. There's lots of different ways to win. And finally, you have action cards. So this is what makes it kind of fun and competitive. So you can steal a card from somebody, you can forecast the weather, you can do lots of different things within the game to try and win. So we deliver this as part of a full day of workshops. So we'll go into a school, we'll deliver workshops that teach about the different energy resources using all of these different posters that we have. We'll then learn about the energy mix of different countries. So we look at how energy countries currently produce electricity. Students are then challenged to build their own country. So they use the geography of a country and they have to come up with their own energy mix and just try and justify their solution. And then finally we get to play the game. So I think the most exciting thing about this for schools is that we actually offer it for free. So we basically ask schools to apply for funding through our website, and then we use our partners who are energy companies or grant funders that can actually go and fund it into schools. We'll go and deliver a full day of workshops. We then provide you with the games, the posters, lesson plans, slides, everything you need to incorporate it into your curriculum going forward.
My main contribution to this year's conference was a full workshop about climate action planning, and what geography specialists and geography teachers can actually do to progress efforts in their education setting towards the climate action plans and whatnot. And supporting me in that workshop were 2 wonderful climate ambassadors. So I just want to say thank you to Aideen and Claire. And happenstance that I had 2 more climate ambassadors who were there as participants but facilitated and supported as well. So I just want to say a massive thank you to David Priest from Teach First, and who's been on this podcast before, also as a co-host of one of the Espresso and Geographies, but also Eleanor Pinches from the Royal Meteorological Society. So thank you very much both for your support in the session as well. So I'm just going to play some highlights from that session of some of the key bits that you may find interesting. If you're listening rather than watching, is maybe watch it on YouTube using the link in the description instead, where you'll be able to get a much better sense and a better experience of what the workshop was all about.
I'm going to whiz through the context bit quite quickly because it's been talked about quite a fair bit in the conference. So I want to get down to the bits that matter. So this really does matter, but the context I don't want to go through with you as much because of your background in geography specialist, but
You're aware of the DfE climate change strategy. If you have not read through that yet, and it's guide for climate action planning and sustainability leads, please give it a read. It's definitely worth your time to do that. But in a nutshell, what it said was, well, originally it said by 2025, in every single education setting, from early years through to further in higher education, right, to have a climate action plan and a named sustainability. Now, it's not, the discussion's been had before about it's not statutory or whatnot, but the good news is that, preaching to the conservative people in the room, we know in our hearts and minds it is statutory because of what climate change is all about, right? So we do understand the necessity for this, even though it's not legally statutory. Now, a climate action plan has 4 wonderful pillars: adaptation, resilience, biodiversity, climate education, and green careers and decarbonisation. Later on in this session, towards the end, I'm going to give you some advice about how you can use your geography superpowers to facilitate, if not be, the sustainability lead, okay? But what you most certainly can do through your specialism or through your capacity is support your settings climate action plans. So I won't go through this in much detail. There is no specific template of a climate action plan that's deliberate. We have provided templates if you choose to use them. But the most important thing is that a climate action plan can be however it fits the context of your school or your multi-academy trust or your setting, right? Some climate action plans look like this, right? Which is quite simply 4 sections and some actions that are going to be taking place and things that have been achieved. One of my climate ambassadors in the East, Dr. Aideen Cooper, is an amazing human being who runs the Felixstowe Community Gardens and Sustainability Group. He's basically, they just got it on 2 slides A4. And that's some education settings, a great way to get started. Other education sets I've worked with have been putting it into their statutory documents, like their improvement plans, their evaluation forms, and in most cases, which I think is very positive, not negative, some are actually starting to write it into their safeguarding policy. And so they are making it statutory by choice. There is many ways you can approach this. But is all of this the responsibility of just a geography teacher? But by design, it is not, right? So one of the reasons why you need to take some time to read that strategy is it quite categorically clearly says it is a collaborative effort with the whole school community involved. And what I think is beautiful about this document, and actually, when it was the initial consultation strategy, one of the things which, Juanita, you'll remember this, DfE, is that one of the criticisms to start with the first draft is that it put too much emphasis on certain individuals, and it's just yet another thing that's going to be siloed into geography or science. DfE listened to that. The DfE listened to the young people of the consult. That's what you did amazing, was listen to the young people. And the thing is as well is that it now explicitly says this is a whole school holistic effort, and they name the groups like, yes, of course, the young people must be involved. Love that. They need to have agency. Teachers are only one part. Estate teams, estate managers, your catering staff, your business manager, SLT, the governors, the parent-teacher association groups. They name all these individuals, right? That they have to be involved in this process. But more importantly, which is the job of the sustainability lead, is to empower and delegate the responsibility to them so everyone feels like they have to say they're involved. And you've got far more allies than you realise in places you didn't realise you had them. Okay? Right. So a climate action plan can be whatever you make of it. If you want a template to get started, we've got stuff. Okay? That's not a problem. Right. But here, again, more effort, time. Yes, I know I'm an ex-high school teacher, 13 years myself. I would have been approached, said, do you want to be a sustainability lead? And I would have said, I'm about to say, pay me any time. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've been told to see you, haven't I? But the good news is that there's free support out there for you. And here are 4 examples. We're going to focus on ClimateAmbassadors mostly, but every single one of these is amazing. Self-service website that can be used. incredible resource. It will put in details and stuff like that. It will give you specific help and advice, quality assured advice, vetted by the DfE amongst other people, and say, right, here are some resources to help you, and even here are some potential funding streams. Right? Let's Go Zero, amazing bunch of people. They're free. Climate Action Advisors come into your school and they will work directly with you to help you get started on writing on your climate action plan. The best meetings I've been with my Let's Go Zero colleagues have been me, the Climate Action Advisor, so in my case, we've got Nigel, Luciana and Jeremy, 3 gorgeous human beings, a member of SLT, some students, a sustainability lead, and any other interested member of staff. That's been the meeting, and we've all gone together and said, right, okay, let's get started. That's been the best experience for me. I don't need to say much about this. If you're not utilising this, you're missing a trick. You're missing an open goal, right? There is so many. I don't have enough time to say good things about this. Everything from embedding all of this stuff into your curriculum, across subjects, across phases. And Rob, as you know, as I said yesterday, GIS, lovely stuff on there as well. From like mapping your school site, and it contributes towards a citizen science project that if you map your school site on that and map your habitat, which goes into this database, and then you track your progress over time, and you can use that as part of the curriculum, you're actually contributing towards citizen science, which is, we are actually planning some research projects on the back of this right now. I can't speak highly of that. I want to give a shout out to Lewis and Jenna, who are my colleagues in England. And then you got this one, which is all right. Aideen and Claire, over to you. So, Aideen and Claire will introduce themselves, who they are, what they do, why they became climate ambassadors, and how they bring their role and their jobs and their work into the scheme. Over to you.
I'm Aideen Foley. I'm a reader in Environment and Society in Birkbeck, University of London. And my research involves things like going into communities and talking about what are the impacts of climate change that you're seeing, also thinking about how we use data for decision making. And I became a climate ambassador because I thought that there would be ways to share some of that expertise and some of the methods that I'm using with schools. It seems like there's possibly a role for some of these participatory methods and mapping methods when you're in the early stages of planning some of these activities, thinking about how to engage your community and envision the future with students, parents, their teachers, and so on. So yeah, that's me and what I do and why I became a climate ambassador.
Thanks, Aideen. Hi, I'm Claire Gilbert. My career was in education publishing, and I was school governor for a long time, I still am. I took a different turn about 22 when I trained as carbon literate, and I started a master's in sustainability education. I'm now working with a charity called ClimateAmbassadors that takes carbon literacy into primary schools, and I'm working really closely with my local primary school on a lot of the activities that Kit described, supporting with their eco crew, helping the teachers be trained on climate literacy, drafting their climate action plan, and getting their team together, working out who's got to be on the team, and then sharing it with stakeholders, which is our next step. Thank you.
There you go, folks. And as I've already mentioned, we have other climate ambassadors here at GAConf as well. For example, Sylvia Knight, who's working with Toronto Society, and a lot of people the work that she does, which is absolutely brilliant. Now, the Climate Ambassador Scheme only extends at the moment in England. It's an English initiative, because we know that education is a devolved thing, so Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have their own thing. However, we do have some honorary climate ambassadors who are outside of England, who do contribute to the work that we do here in England. So one of the people who can't be here today, who I treat as an honorary climate ambassador, I'd love to count him as an East of England KPI, Juanita, but anyway, is my wonderful friend Alistair Hamill. So he's produced a video for us that we're going to watch, just a 10-minute video, and then we're going to link it to how it can be linked to climate action plans all 4 pillars of the climate action plans.
Well, hello and greetings from Portrush. I'm gutted that I can't be with you in person this year in the conference, but Kit, I'm so grateful for the chance to share a little bit of the story of the project that we've been working on as part of your session. Any of us involved in educating about climate change and sustainability will be aware of SDG 13. It very much gives us the sense of the urgency of the climate emergency that we're facing. And yet, as an educator, you look at those words that I've underlined there: underprepared, threatens life, instability and wars, catastrophic consequences. These are terms that very often carry this very negative connotation. And I put them into an AI image generator to see what kind of image it would associate with it. These are apocalyptic, end of world kind of images. So is this the message that we're really communicating to our young people? Well, on one hand we need to, because there is that sense of the urgency, but on the other hand, even as we do so, it raises that level of anxiety, doesn't it? There's been a rise of eco-anxiety that has been well documented when the eco-warriors become the eco-warriors. And it seems that inevitably, as we weigh down with the weight of the urgency, it lifts up that level of anxiety. So what's an educator to do in this context? I think the answer lies in the following way. We need to teach for agency. And I'm going to define agency like this. It's the ability of a person to make choices and take actions that shape their own lives and their environment. It involves a sense of control, of autonomy, and the belief that one's decisions can have an impact on one's actions. And I was very much influenced by this wonderful paper by Greer and Glacken, well worth checking out, where they talked about 3 spheres of education. Yes, we need to have a knowledge about climate change, of course we do. They took that out then into climate change education for capabilities, to give the students this ability to act, be agents for change. But when you're dealing with an intelligent 16-year-old, those actions have got to carry something of a sense that they're going to tackle the scale of the challenge that we face. So if you just say to an intelligent 16-year-old, climate crisis, and do you know what you've got to do? Recycle more. Well, yes, of course we've got to recycle more, but the intelligent 16-year-old goes, really? That's it? And what I love about this paper was Greer and Glacken talk about a 3rd sphere, this expansive climate change education. The positions in education is integral to society's response to climate change right now. It makes the young people citizens today, not just in the future. So informed by that, I set up this little project from 4 different schools in the local area that I work in, and the students using Survey 123 to collect data about trees, looking at how well our urban areas are adapted to the urban heat island effect that's going to be amplified by climate change. We got 746 unique data points from hundreds of students who were going out and collecting data about the trees in the area that they lived in, giving them this real sense of agency of doing something, but connecting it up onto a scale where they were able to go and really feel like they were part of something big and powerful. That's them measuring the circumference of the trees. And this is the map that we showed it on. And we were able to go in with all of these 746 unique data points to come in and collect the information and begin to tell the story. And it really did give the students a tremendous sense of being part of something that was at the scale that really felt like it was making a difference. This was beyond just their personal responsibility to being something as part of our community response. And we connected with the local council. We got the young people in front of them and began to tell the story.
Hi, my name's Peter Lavery and I'm a councillor for the Lurgan area. Mr Hamill's briefed me on your climate change tree survey project. Lurgan, like many other urban areas, is lacking in tree cover, and we need to do much more to protect the trees that we have, as well as enact measures so that we can regreen our towns so that they become more environmentally friendly living spaces. I believe that the data collected in your project has the potential to be a catalyst to deliver real positive change for Lurgan, so no pressure. I look forward to hearing updates over the coming months on your good work, and I wish us all the very best for it. Thank you.
But I want to very much give chance for you to hear from the young people themselves. What is it that they report of being involved in a project like this? Did it give them that sense of hope even as they faced the challenge? Let's have a listen to what they say.
SDG 13 makes me really anxious, and it just feels very doom and gloom about the future. It doesn't feel like there's any hope.
Every time I think about global warming and climate changes, it'd be really overwhelming, and I never really thought about things that I could do as a person in my community to affect this. I thought it was like, well, that's a huge thing, so government must do something about it, not me.
I've always been concerned about the climate, but I just feel like I didn't really have a voice. Like, the most I could do was just really spread awareness and just do small things at home, like recycling and stuff.
Climate change doesn't discriminate. In this country, a lot of people are always commenting on the divide in the two communities, but we must join together to tackle climate change.
I was working on a project with 4 different schools with hundreds of students. We're carrying out a survey across different urban areas on the quality of trees. We're able to use that data to identify like how our urban areas are adapting to climate change and the increasing of temperatures that comes with that.
So this has allowed me to develop my skills outside geography, and it really means a lot to me that I can do something for my community and reach out. It's really opened my eyes of what technology can do for geography.
This project just really made me feel like I was really like helping our future generations. And as well as helping with climate change, I feel like it was helping with the diversity in Northern Ireland between Catholics and Protestants, especially because we were all working as one team to battle this huge problem.
Although I maybe am not able to do something on a global scale, it felt nice that I knew I could help my community and the people I cared about around me.
After we got all the data on the GIS map, we contacted people in the ABC Council to discuss what we could do further with the information.
Well, they were very keen to hear what we had to say, and they made it clear that they would like to partnership with us in the future going forward. And this made me feel really like this is something that's really worthwhile. It made me something like my voice is being heard.
The point of SDG 13 is to inspire us to do something to help our communities and environment and work hard on what we can do for our local community. Maybe we can have an impact for the world.
What an incredible testimony from those young people of the impact that the project had. That in itself would have been amazing, but there was a wonderful little postscript to all of this, because a little known tech company that you might have heard of before called Google got wind of our project and were really impressed by how the young people use technology to really promote sustainability and the urgency of this message. And they invited them to share the video that you've just seen at the BET conference, the biggest EdTech conference in the world. I had the privilege to be over there for the 4 days helping to share that story when that video was played to nearly 1,000 people from all across the world. The story of a post-conflict situation in Northern Ireland with Protestant and Catholic young people crossing the divide in the town, coming together from 2 separate schools, united in a desire to do something good for the community as a whole. And it was just wonderful to see that message ripple out and inspire people literally from all over the world. And to take that message back to the young people involved in it and to share with them and say, this is what you have done, this is what you have been part of. Is it possible to teach for hope and agency in the middle of all the anxiety? Well, I think it is. And it's giving them that sense of agency, of allowing our young people to show what they're capable of doing and to inspire all of us into the kind of action that we need to take right now. Thanks again, Kit, for the chance to share this story.
When I spoke to Alistair about that, there was no way that I could not include this. And so over to you. Thank you amazingly, Alistair. That's just absolutely fantastic. So what I want you to do now is I want you to think about the 4 actions, pillars of climate action, and just have a quick chat on your table. How do you think that project by Alistair, quite obviously it's climate education, right? Quite obviously. But actually, it helps with the other 3 pillars of adaptation and resilience, which is, building the, resilience and adaptation to the impact of climate change, which is not necessarily a thing that a teacher could do, that proves otherwise, by increasing biodiversity and helping to decarbonise the area.
have a quick chat. Can you come up with something that I'll reveal behind those categories? We've got trees and have a lower heat. And that's not just this, but there's loads of stuff. I think there's an opportunity there when you start linking to future impact and importance. And obviously, then trees by it. But anyone else take deal with that? Yeah. Thank you very much, Bob. Anyone else?
I think this sort of link with council, having a voice that's just so important for young people to actually realise they can have that voice. That is an option for them. Incredible.
Think about how. I don't need to get on my soapbox here. Think about how disaffecting and how much mistrust there is now with local authorities and authority in general, right? What a way to rebuild trust, rebuild relationships, especially when you have such a disaffected young generation that comes to politics. There's so much disconnect. What a way to rebuild. Don't forget, this is a culture that has got, has got a very recent trauma based on the troubles in Northern Ireland. And if this is what they can achieve and use to turn that trauma into strength, then, then us with a bit more privilege than that, think of what we can do. Right, so here's some ideas then. They're not exhaustive, but absolutely what you said about managing urban heat, managing stormwater. So by looking at the quality of the trees as well as the number of trees, you're thinking about, okay, we plan now to see where there's not enough shade, or where we can start capturing precipitation and implement maybe a sustainable drainage system using natural meanings. Managing eco-anxiety. The kids feel empowered. There is nothing like addressing climate or eco-anxiety than empowering and making them feel like they feel a difference. Like that young lady says, the messages that they're getting from SDG 13, and then if you stop the lesson there and that's it, go recycling water bottle, but that's not helping eco-anxiety, is it? Right? Enhances biodiversity, of course, if you're looking at planning green spaces and things like that. Decarbonisation, the quality of the trees, you can then work out the amount of carbon that they are sequestering, and then of course you can then plan the stuff we do to maybe increase the capture of carbon. And there's obvious links there with climate education, green careers, that like you said, the most impressive one in this respect is getting involved and having a voice in the local council, and local councils turn around and say, this is amazing, we want to work with you. Now, you may think, yeah, this is a bit of a stretch, but I honestly won't be surprised. I won't be surprised if a position becomes available on that council that wasn't there before because of this. And maybe one of those youngsters when they're older gets that job. But there wouldn't have been that possibility at all with us, would there? Right? So think of that. I skipped through Louise very quickly, but because I gave this at the Teachmeet. But here's another example. You've got Alistair will do these. It seems like a big thing, but really he just, again, very disingenuous. Teaching GIS. That's what he was doing, just the way he went about it. Here's another thing you can do, but Kit, I don't have time for this. This was part of a lesson. Right? So I went back into the geography classroom and did a year 10 lesson about the 6 stages of fieldwork inquiry. So what I then did is that then I got in touch with Louise Wilson from the Environment Agency. She's a climate ambassador in East of England. I said, Louise, have you got time to be into the classroom and talk about how you, through the Environment Agency, go about the 6 stages of fieldwork inquiry through your job? Like, yeah, Kit, brilliant. Yeah. She's also got a fantastic Scottish accent, which is brilliant because these kids are from rural Norfolk and Suffolk, so they get to hear that bit of diversity as well. Right? So, quite simply, 30 to 30, 45 minutes on the 6 stages of inquiry. We met the curriculum requirements. I made sure they understood, I made sure they checked progress. We had some consolidation activities, did all that. I said, right, Louise, you in? Brilliant, okay, over to you. And she talks about how she goes through those processes for the Environment Agency. They could see the real life applications, and then Q&A. They could ask her what she wanted, whatever they wanted. That did not cost that teacher a lesson. It didn't. It enhanced the lesson that they already had planned. And she reported to me, she said, Kit, I think they got more out of that 60-minute lesson than what I would have originally planned. That's not to put her down. She just said, because she knows the kids really, really well,
I don't think those kids would have made as much progress of what was planned originally. But this, the one young lady came up to me and says, I now want to train in the geography career. Can you put me in touch with Louise? And a bit later on, apparently, there was a greater interest in taking A-level, which Steve was talking about, I think was talking about, we seem to have a problem translating students to GCSE into students A-level. Right? So there we go. Okay,
so really
go for it, David.
Mentioned the Gatsby benchmarks.
It is.
Your career as an advisor lead will be looking explicitly to make connections to local careers and to where does career education is in school. But also your career lead is your person to go and say, who do you know who's working local to the school that's really actually connected to this? And you'll be in touch with, oh, we're next to solar farm. Oh, we're in the northeast. We've got a bunch of people working and building better wind turbines. Great, because we have got a connection we can use. So I think it's kids at the beginning. You have more connections and more allies than you think you do. Your careers going in schools, one of them particularly, because they've got to be
Yeah. Thanks for that, David. That's it. Yeah, in fact, your careers lead is fantastic. I think your careers lead should really be on sustainability. And even if that is still undoable, still not doable, right? Going down in scale here, what about on an activity level? What about talking about sustainability and using your school as the subject? All right.
So with the help of the climate ambassadors in the room, the participants had a little go at that activity, which can be done with young people, using some ideas and some prompts, but also thinking about what is capable at their school in order to make it more sustainable. There's a lot of resources out there already, for example, in primary geography, which is one of the Geographical Association's journals that is published. Alison Lazenbury in September 2024 wrote a fantastic article about how can schools become more sustainable, and had a brilliant list with categories such as waste, food, curriculum, energy, transport, procurement, water and nature, about all these different ideas that a school can be made sustainable. And it isn't just about trying to find the big bucks, if you like, to put in solar panels on the roof or a heat pump. There are some really good behavioural changes, small-scale things that can be done, like, for example, collecting rainwater for using in a school allotment or school gardens, or to having walk-to-school days, or organising what's called a walk-in bus, which I thought was quite cool, where you kind of like go around a route and you pick up people along the way to walk with. What about introducing just one day a week as meat-free days in the school canteen? So many different ideas, and which was fantastic, and a lot of those were used by the participants. Now, after that activity, I kind of summarised things about kind of 3 steps that geography specialists could do to support climate action in their education settings. So one thing is to utilise data, school data that's available from the Department for Education with regards to the priorities for climate action in the schools. So, for example, if a school has very high free school meals percentage, then maybe they want to look at adaptation and resilience and protecting their most vulnerable young people from the impacts of climate change. The second thing I suggested was about becoming the school sustainability lead themselves. Now, it's something I've actually cautioned against for colleagues in the geography teacher community, because what tends to happen is that something like this gets on the radar of the senior leadership team of the school, and then they turn around to the geography teacher and say, oh, this is all about climate change sustainability, this would be a job for you then, wouldn't it? On top of their teaching, on top of everything else, and it just ends up getting siloed into the geography curriculum. So what I suggested to the people in the room was that even if you're not interested in becoming the sustainability lead, you can still encourage a member of SLT or a governor to take the role. You could use your geographical knowledge, support and expertise to help with signposting, to kind of be part of the sustainability team, because it's meant to be a team effort. It's not meant to be an individual or even just a couple of individuals doing this. It's meant to be a whole school effort as per the climate change and sustainability education strategy from the Department of Education. The expertise can be used to demonstrate how the curricula can be synergised with the climate action plan across the curriculum. the National Education Nature Park website, which is amazing. There's like off-the-shelf ready-made resources and actions on there that fits in beautifully to what geography teachers do and things like that. And if you are a mentor or you train teachers at your school, then use this as part of your mentoring thing to help them build some skills. Now, if you are interested in becoming a sustainability lead at the school, now I always think if you don't ask, you don't get. So ask for time, ask for an hour a week or something like that, ask for resources, right? Even perhaps ask for what we call a TLR, a teacher learning resource payment, because you can make that argument. Unlikely, but if you don't ask, you don't get. Guard against siloing and typecasting. This is not just a job for the geography teacher or the geography department. So delegate tasks, get someone else to do the stuff in the Education Nature Park, maybe have someone else who takes charge at the Sustainable Sport for Education website, all that kind of stuff, and get a working group together that can help make decisions, including the site team, senior leadership team, the designated safeguarding lead, the students, most are important. Definitely contact all the sister projects, Let's Go Zero, the ClimateAmbassadors regional network, so your Climate Ambassador regional hub manager like myself. Build that support network. See what you've achieved already. Review and audit existing plan and efforts, and there are tools out there allow you to do that, and request time to lead CPD for training your colleagues or getting one of us in to do the CPD. So you are not alone, and tackling climate change is meant to be a collaborative effort. We cannot do this alone, and we know that's for absolute certain. Geography teachers and geography specialists have huge potential to be catalysts for change in their school, and they can really use their geography superpowers, and I really hope that the workshop that I ran with the support of the ClimateAmbassadors was able to show that. Yes, so that was the workshop that I ran with the support of the ambassadors. I also had the support in the room of the wonderful Juanita Shephard from the Department for Education, who's part of the DFE's team overseeing what we're doing with these sister projects. So Juanita herself actually did her own talk about what the Department for Education is doing and what that means for education settings and geography specialists and stuff like that. And she ran through some really fantastic points and key messages that really everybody in education needs to hear. So it was wonderful she could spare the time to support the workshop. And then after her talk, she then sat down with me for a couple of minutes, and we had a bit of a chat. So I am with my DFE colleague. I'm going to call you my colleague, Juanita Shephard. So first of all, can I just say thank you so much for the opportunity that you provided folks like me and our organisations. I love my job. I really love my job as the Regional Hub Manager for the Climate Ambassador scheme. So yeah, I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to talk about the DFE, why you came up with the strategy here, and why you presented it here at the GA conference. What is it about geography teachers you think this is a perfect audience to talk about the DFE strategy and all of the sister projects involved?
So geographers, they are the secret ingredient along with the scientists in terms of making sure that climate education is delivered effectively in this country, and our strategy sets out a way to achieve that. And from our strategy, obviously, we have delivered now on the Sustainability Support for Education online service. You're a climate ambassador, one of over 1,000 now, Kit, which is incredible.
It's amazing.
The support around the country for that, and then the National Education Nature Park as well. So those are our front-facing, the ecosystem of delivery that we've got to support educators, not just geographers, of course, but all educators around the country, to make sure that sustainability is finally, truly embedded in our education system.
Yeah, and it's kind of feel like you're preaching to the converted when you come to like the Geographic Association conference and geography teachers, but they really keenly feel the passions that you have, because you have a geography background or geography interest, I believe.
I'm a former geography teacher.
There you go. So I bet you feel quite at home.
I do. I love coming back to conference every year. Yeah.
So you can speak directly to the people here. The other thing I just want to say, which is amazing about the scheme, and thank you again for the DFE for this, and the way that you went through the consultation process as well, is that how you've brought people together I've said many times how much I love and appreciate working with the other regional hub managers, and they're such a lovely bunch of people who have got passion and determination and really enable what things are going. But also the East of England sister projects, so Lewis and Jenna from National Education Nature Park, Nige, Luciana and Jeremy from Let's Go Zero and myself, we really get on like family. We really do, and we really do feel like we're making a difference and we're being enabled by this strategy and what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, from the DFE's point of view, I mean, the way that this is all coming together as a partnership, you must be delighted.
Absolutely we are, and as you said, it's the collaboration that is making this work. There was a real undercurrent before the strategy was published in 2022, and all it needed was the DFE to give it some oomph and to kickstart it, because all the connections were there. It just needed a little bit of joining up. We haven't really had to do much at all, because passionate people are taking this forward and are able to work effectively together, and it's incredible what's being delivered at the moment. Over 8,000 settings across the country are now involved in one of the projects.
That's right, yeah.
And you know, over 5,000 nature park schools. The numbers are just phenomenal, but without all of you working together, that wouldn't happen. So it's incredible work that you're doing, and like you said, passionate people make incredible things happen.
Yeah, and in all fairness, as you know, some people might not know, is that myself and my Yorkshire colleague Ruth, we work on the data, and we see that all the time. I tell you, one thing that we said to each other actually the other day when we were looking at it, we said, crikey, how much we've achieved. And we've achieved, and it's been so good. And then when you gave those case studies earlier of those two schools that have done amazing things and how much change they've... But the thing is, I know that you say that you haven't done much, but the thing that you have done, which is the key thing, I think, is you've been enablers. You've been enablers, and I think that is exactly what we need right now. Enablers from the folks at the DFE, civil servants like yourself. And I just want to say on behalf of all of us regional hub managers and the sister project schemes, like how thank you so much for all the support that you're giving, and the fact that I love coming to work every day, and I love doing this kind of stuff and working with folks like you, so thank you.
That's great. I love my job too, Kit. Thank you for inviting me.
There was so much at the conference with regards to climate action, which was very, very pleasing to see. The folks from the Environment Agency, for example. So if you're outside the UK, the Environment Agency is a really important part of the government. It's publicly funded, which do all kinds of things: environmental protection, flood risk, flood management, habitat management. It's just huge. But so there were folks there from the Environment Agency who gave a talk alongside Hello Lamppost about careers and green skills via the Environment Agency, and they also talked about their school's flood toolkit, which is fantastic, and I'll make sure that there is a link to that in the description. The keynote lecture from Emma Rawlings Smith, good friend of mine, fantastic, passionate member of the geography teacher community, and trains teachers herself down in Southampton, covered a lot of stuff in her lecture with regards to what constitutes good geography education in a rapidly changing world, and there was a lot of references to climate change and climate action in there. So she talked about the kind of things that young people want, that young people are concerned about, and climate change was at the top of that, and she focused also on the kind of ways we can approach that through teaching and pedagogy, and how extracurricular activities can really, really enable agency in our young people. The wonderful Hina Robinson, who is this year's president of the Geographical Association, and has been on this podcast, and is definitely worth a listen. Talked about the theme of connected geographies, and so there was a lot of reference in there to connecting people with place, between the physical and human components, and how we need to ensure that our youngsters have got a sustainable future by being represented within the curriculum, by challenging stereotypes, taking a decolonial approach, and of course things about really listening to the students and being mindful and careful with regards to tackling climate change. So really important messages which I also talk about in a lot of the work that I do, about making sure you work with the youngsters and talking about what is capable, what is achievable, what is realistic. You can't just tell everybody to not fly. I mean, maybe that might be true of the most wealthiest of our youngsters, but what about for those who can't visit family, without flying, or telling them to not eat rice because it's very intensely a methane producer? But what if rice is their staple diet, not just in part of their diet, but their culture, and using cars if that's their only option? It's some very important messages there from Hina, and that's fantastic. And I have produced a lesson activity, a worksheet a couple of years ago, which kind of plays on this and makes sure it focuses on what students are willing and capable of doing. And I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Yeah, that's just a few examples. I think my favourite thing was the very first thing I did in the first full day of the conference on the Wednesday with Julia Tanner about well-being and connecting to the outside. And when the conference came to an end, I took the long, crowded train journey home back from Oxford. I just posted a little video on social media, just giving my final thoughts and thanks back at the conference. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll see everybody next week. Thursday the 17th, April 2025, 20 to 8 in the evening. Finally walking home from the train station. It was so lovely to see everybody. Gonna have the drop next day or two. But really looking forward to spending time with the family and the kids and everybody. Thank you everybody for a lovely 3 days. Thank you everybody to chatted to me. Was really, really kind to me. But more importantly, just, and obviously thank you to folks who came and to the sessions and whatnot and supported those. But more importantly, just, thank you for being awesome, all of you, amazing. It's just, the conferences like the GA conference, do help to restore my faith in humanity, that there are still, things out there that's still worth fighting the good fight for, so for the right reasons. So hopefully it's not too long before I see you all, whether it's many of you again, whether it's online or in person. But until then, you know where you can find me.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Coffee and Geography, folks. If you're itching to know more about the Climate Ambassadors' awesome work, visit www.climateambassadors.org. Don't forget to follow us on Blue Sky at geogramblings.com and use the CoffeeJogPod hashtag to stay in the loop. Submit your questions for our guests on LinkedIn or Blue Sky with hashtag JogQoverABrew. Keep exploring this amazing world, tackling climate action, and flexing your geography muscles. Stay curious, keep jogging, and keep making waves.